There's really something strange going on, and Michael Saylor is warning that it's going to happen very soon. And if you don't believe me or still don't get it, then I honestly think all hope is lost for you. This is no joke. These companies are coming and buying up the entire supply of Bitcoin. And where do I even start now? Every single day, really every day, we hear about some new company saying, hey, we're buying Bitcoin now. We're going to accumulate more Bitcoin and add it to our holdings. Do you understand what it means to hear that every day? I'm absolutely convinced that the price of Bitcoin should already be at $200,000 to $250,000. And the fact that with all this news, we're still not there really gets to me. And recently, for example, there was news that Meta Planet, the Japanese companies, that very companies to raise $5.4 billion just to buy more Bitcoin. And do you know how much Bitcoin companies and governments now own? The share has increased by 924%, almost 1,000%. MicroStrategy has set itself the goal of owning between 1.5 and 1.8 million Bitcoin. A single company wants to do that, and at the same time, the amount of Bitcoin held on crypto exchanges keeps getting smaller and smaller. And in case you didn't notice, companies and governments now own over 50% of all the Bitcoin that exist, and that doesn't even include the Bitcoin that are lost forever. So more than half now belongs to them alone. And all of this only started last November. And for about 2 months now, we've been hearing every day about new companies joining in. It used to be BlackRock and Fidelity, for example, and we thought, wow, they're really buying a lot of Bitcoin. Then this year, MicroStrategy wanted to have 1 million Bitcoin, meaning they wanted to buy 1 million Bitcoin, and now it's even much, much more. It's just totally crazy that the price hasn't already exploded. And if you don't see or understand that, then honestly, I don't know what else to say. It's so frustrating that people just don't get it, don't understand. It's really crazy what's happening right now with Bitcoin and so on. Every day we hear about new companies announcing that they're going to buy Bitcoin, and you just can't get it out of your head, and we keep seeing it more and more. It feels like it's never going to stop. Recently, Mercury Fintech Holding, a company listed on the Nasdaq in the US with a value of $264 million, announced that they want to raise $800 million just to buy Bitcoin. And that's almost 3 times as much as the company is currently worth. And the CEO of Mercury even says that Bitcoin will be a super important part of the financial world in the future. And you know what? They're not the only ones who think that. More and more companies are doing the same thing. And they're not just buying once, but repeatedly buying more and more Bitcoin. At first, they invest a few million, then it quickly becomes hundreds of millions. And that's really a lot of money and sometimes even billions. It happens every day. And I totally understand that you might be wondering how long this can go on before something big happens. In the past, it was already a huge deal when a company invested a few million in Bitcoin, but now the amounts are just gigantic. Many companies are buying Bitcoin because they think it protects them from inflation, diversifies their investments, and might even boost their stock prices. The company Mercury, for example, firmly believes that Bitcoin will become really important in the long run, and so far, that seems to be true. That means when the price of Bitcoin goes up, they often take on even more debt to buy even more. And that can definitely work as long as the price keeps rising, but it's also a risky game, and it definitely makes me think there isn't an unlimited amount of Bitcoin. The more companies buy, the less is left, and that could drive the price even higher. Basically, it's almost turning into a race to see who can grab the most Bitcoin. And that's exciting, but also a bit unsettling what's happening right now because no one really knows where this is all heading. And I think we'll be hearing a lot more reports like this soon. And as long as the Bitcoin price keeps rising, companies will keep buying. And we have to remember, the crypto market is like a roller coaster ride. It can also go down, and many people forget that, especially in a bull market. And if companies take on too much risk, they could run into problems in the future. In short, what's happening right now is absolutely wild. Companies like Mercury Fintech Holdings are going all in on Bitcoin, and every day more companies are doing the same. And it's smart to keep an eye on this, but also to recognize that it's not without risk. It feels like a big game where no one really knows who will win in the end. And a few years ago, the situation was different. But now big companies like BlackRock and MicroStrategy, as well as wealthy individuals, are buying up massive amounts of Bitcoin. Companies like Meta Planet want to invest billions, for example, $5.4 billion. And this amount keeps growing because they are constantly accumulating more and more Bitcoin.
We were inspired by this strategy and began executing it last year. And now, especially in Asia, we're constantly being approached by other companies who want to have discussions, who want to understand the playbook, who want to know what the potential pitfalls are, how to explain it to their boards, and who they should surround themselves with to ensure a smoother path forward. So I think this is just the beginning. This is, perhaps in the Japanese context, the start of a tidal wave of more and more corporations around the world adopting Bitcoin. I think it would be irresponsible for companies not to look at Bitcoin and not to purchase Bitcoin for their balance sheets. And, well, time will tell which ones are the last to come to the table.
Other companies are talking about $800 million, And tomorrow we'll probably already hear about the next company that wants to invest $1 billion. Wealthy individuals in cities like Dubai, London, and New York are also privately buying large amounts of Bitcoin. Some are acquiring thousands of Bitcoins at once, others are buying 250 every month or 100 every month forever. 95% of all Bitcoins are already in the hands of the wealthy, only 5% are still left, and of those 5% of the Bitcoin held on crypto exchanges, not all of it is easy to buy or sell. That's why Cathie Wood has raised her price prediction for Bitcoin from $500,000 to $1.2 million per Bitcoin and even up to $2.4 million per Bitcoin by 2030. But that is based on data from March or April. What will happen if even more companies get involved by the end of the year and want to buy more Bitcoin? Michael Saylor even says this. If you're in your 20s or 30s and you're willing to put in the work, if you'd be prepared to invest hundreds or even 200 hours, if you have more time than money, then Bitcoin's volatility is a gift for you. That's what Michael Saylor says. Let's take a look at that.
Volatility was a gift to the faithful. It scares away the tourists. It scares away the lazy. It scares away the people who are already conventionally rich who have all the money. If you're in your 20s or 30s and you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to spend 100 or 200 hours, if you have more time than money, then the volatility of Bitcoin is a gift to you. If you have more money than time and you're arrogant and egotistical and you just pick the obvious, then if the volatility goes away, you buy Bitcoin. If people in the rest of the world knew what I know and they understood and agreed with me, Bitcoin would go to $10 million tomorrow. And if Bitcoin went to $10 million tomorrow, I want you to think about how you would feel and how your viewers would feel, because you would lose 20 years of stacking opportunity during which you get to buy at less than $10 million. So the difference between $10 million and 100,000, that's what you give up if the volatility goes away and people start to agree with you.
And Michael Saylor also says, Hal Finney is right. Bitcoin will rise to $10 million per Bitcoin. And that's totally insane. But the problem is, for regular people like you and me, it will soon become almost impossible to buy Bitcoin in the near future. We can barely afford even a small fraction of a Bitcoin, like 0.01 Bitcoin. That's about $1,000 when the price of Bitcoin is $100,000 per Bitcoin. We are currently facing the greatest opportunity to own the most Bitcoin, and for most people, this chance is zero. Even people who earn well don't just have thousands of euros lying around. And I hope you understand what all of this means. How quickly Bitcoin is becoming scarce, why it's important to understand this, and why it's also important to take action now. So, thank you for watching, and Michael Saylor doesn't stop warning us about what is coming for Bitcoin in the future.
The fact that we worked our way from individuals to high net worth individuals to private companies up to, the tech innovators, and now we're working on the mega public core and the banks, right? That's a sign of the asset improving, and education matters, setting an example matters, right? But there's just a lot of moving parts here, and we're talking about the birth of an asset class and a paradigm shift. And in both cases, right, it's like an organic viral process, which is, they say one of the first things they taught me at MIT about this was, they said, if you have a pond and there's algae in the pond and the algae is doubling every day, and in 30 days it covers the entire pond, on what day of the month will you notice you even have any algae? And it's like, well, 90% of the days you don't even know you have anything. And like on the 26th day, you notice something, and then in 3 more days, the pond is completely covered, right? So with exponential processes, it seems like nothing is happening for a long time as the process keeps building and building. And then suddenly there's a small spike, and then all at once, things really start happening. Just like with Apple stock, right? It took forever, 40 years to reach $1 trillion, and then it only took about 18 months to reach $2 trillion. But you see that as a phenomenon, and that's what's happening here organically, spreading virally all over the world, I think.
Thank you for watching, and see you soon. And if you want to achieve financial independence through Bitcoin and crypto, click the link in the description below the video. Watch the video, take action, and do it now.